Oh, no, there he is.
There he is.
Hey!
All right. Well, let's welcome our second guest tonight, the legendary frontman himself, Mr. Jeff Scott Soto. What's up, Jeff? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just finished a vocal session. I was trying to nail it out and get it through so I can have the best of both worlds. Let me set up here so I get a little bit of light on it.
Dude,
Sorry, I just realized. Get out of here. Domestic life, huh?
all I know is you should not be putting your job in front of interviewing with us, goddammit.
Yeah, I had a really cool session. Hang on a second.
We've almost got Jeff on the show.
Yeah, you know, I've got a few interviews, and I just realized that I was supposed to be on here a little earlier, so I apologize.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Waiting in the waiting room, so to speak. But here we are.
Awesome, man. Yeah, man. So, I mean, what's going on? I mean, I know you've got a new solo album get ready to come out pretty soon called Wide Awake in My Dreamland.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about that?
Well, it's my 7th solo album with Frontiers Records. Lord have mercy, where did the years go? And it's probably one of my, I don't want to say most diverse. I mean, you always say that. You have to say that. This is my best album. This is the strongest material, et cetera, et cetera. But I kind of went a different avenue as far as who I work with and how I work. And from that, I think I got really unique results. My buddy, Alessandro Del Vecchio, who's been kind of a house writer, producer, artist, singer. He does everything. He's a jack of all trades, master of all. They partnered me up with him, and I've known Alessandro for a long time now. I worked background vocals when I was on tour with the JSS band back in 2005, and Marcel Jacob was producing their debut album, a band called Edge of Forever. So I met Alessandro 15 years ago. We've known each other since. In the past 15 years, we keep talking about we got to do something together. We got to get together. We've done little bits and bobs here and there, but it wasn't until Frontiers actually they suggested, almost insisted, that I work with Alessandro on this new solo album because they thought we might be able to partner up and come up with something a little more unique and a little different than the albums I normally produce myself, and kind of get the same cast of characters involved. And those results, the proof's in the pudding. I can't wait for everybody to hear this album. It's very diverse. It's got when Alessandro was writing, because he wrote all the music on this album,
Okay.
Produced it with me, but for the most part, produced the entire record. He didn't really produce my vocals. I take care of that department with this little guy right here in my home studio. But so I took care of the melodies. Well, some of the melodies he sent as well. But I took care of all the lyrics, and I produced how I wanted to come across on this record. But overall, he guided the entire thing from start to finish. And man, he made sure there was a little Talisman there, a little JSS kind of traditional Lost in a Translation, if you want to meet Prism, Damage Control, JSS in there, and some other things I haven't really done yet in my career. So it's the most unique, diverse solo album I've done to date, even since Beautiful Mess, which was a complete departure from the JSS sound.
Yeah, man, totally. You know, as a vocalist and artist, Jeff, I mean, when it comes time for you to write, you know, for each band that you're involved in, because you're in so many different projects and bands, I mean, how does it work in terms of your approach? I mean, do you approach each one like individually in terms, like, just to give you an example, like for Sons of Apollo, I mean, obviously on Sons of Apollo, definitely your, I think, vocal, your tone is definitely lower. I mean, do you do that to fit the music, or do you just kind of go out there and do your thing? Whatever comes out, or do you have an approach every time you write or make new music?
I do it to fit not only the project and the music itself, but certainly I cater it to where my voice sits now. I mean, I'm going to be 55 this year. I'm not able to sing what I did when I was 18, 22, 35, even 40. Everything changes, shifts, and you have to adjust accordingly. So when you say it's a little lower or a little deeper, it's on purpose. So when I go on tour, I don't have to skirt around the notes. I don't have to skate around the issue of, well, I can do that in the studio, but I can't do it live. There are too many singers throughout the course of history, including myself, who've done records like that. You get to it live, you go, oh, geez, how am I going to pull that off nightly?
Yeah.
So I want to cater what we're doing, what Sons of Apollo are doing, based on where my voice sits, where I'm comfortable vocally, but more so, yeah, it has to fit what we're doing musically. I want Sons of Apollo not to sound like a combination of, or a culmination of everybody that's involved in this band. It's not supposed to sound like Dream Theater meets Mr. Big meets Winery Dogs meets blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's supposed to sound like Sons of Apollo. It's not supposed to sound like JSS or Soto or W.E.T. It has to sound like Sons of Apollo. And that's the difficult part when you do so many projects and so many albums, to have an identity and a characteristic that's just for that band. And that is the difficult part. And it was a learning curve in the very beginning, because none of us knew what our sound was. It wasn't just like, okay, well, let's just slop it against the wall, and because it's us, we'll release it as is. There was a lot of trial and error. We scrapped a lot of ideas along the way to get to that debut album. And once we kind of carved that sound, we knew where to go from there. I knew where to go from there. Even on album number 2, I was given more of a freedom of carving and creating here in my home studio, instead of sitting with the guys looking over my shoulder. Oh, try this melody, try that one. I did things the way I normally do them. I knocked them out. I tried them myself. When I feel confident and comfortable, I send it off, and then we discuss.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Now, Jeff, when I talked to you, so many months ago, because it seems like I check in with you about every quarter.
Yeah.
You always have a new project, but you were very honest in saying you weren't sure that Sons of Apollo was a sustainable entity. You had said that you weren't sure that it, because of the, it didn't grow as fast as you might have thought it was after the first record, considering who all was in the band.
Right.
And then obviously this pandemic came and really torched everything. No
kidding.
Where are you now with that assessment? Is even that assessment on hold now, or
no?
Go ahead.
That assessment was squashed so fast. It was squashed so quickly. Once we did the second album, I'm not going to say the second album was a breeze and was like, oh, we pissed it out by then because we knew where we were going. Absolutely not. By all means and purposes, we put the time that was necessary into the songs, into the performances, into the mixes, etc., like we did on the first album. But by the time we got on the road, the actual road, we saw momentum starting. We saw now we had a fan base. It wasn't people showing up because of Mike's past or Billy's past or Derek or Bumblefoot's past. People were showing up for Sons of Apollo. They weren't showing up for the W.E.T album or a Yngwie album. You could see we were creating a diehard Sons of Apollo following. And to our credit, we finally started getting that validation that I guess we're kind of expecting on the first round. You naturally feel like a super group's just going to blow up because of the names, and it's not necessarily so. There's so many out there, and I'm sure you can name at least 20 right now at the top of your head that aren't necessarily successful just because of the members of the band. From that being said, we absolutely showed that we are an entity to be reckoned with by not only getting the second record out in kind of a quick turnaround, but just showing people that we're not just a flash in the pan. We'll, if it sticks to the wall, we'll follow up. If it doesn't, we all move on. We wanted to show the world that we were an entity that was going to continue, and it wasn't just a super group, just a flash in the pan all-star idea. And we went for it. And I think we achieved that. And just as that momentum was kicking in, and we saw it from the shows, we saw it from people singing and really knowing the songs, boom, everything went crashing down.
Sure. Now, Jeff, here's going to be the interesting thing, I think, for you especially. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to make an assessment based on nothing but me being me. I think a guy like you that is in a lot of projects,
right,
is losing more than guys that are in one project, because you not only have those projects, but you have schedules that you really have to work hard to meet. Whether it's, you can't put yourself on the road with, Soto or W.E.T or JSS or whatever in November through January because of TSO.
Right.
And if TSO has a recording thing and you're in it, then you got to be there for that. And
right.
Obviously.
And everybody does know, everybody I'm involved with, know right off the bat.
Sure.
Not even think about November, December, because I've given, as long as they'll have me, I've given my absolute,
of course,
to the TSO. But yeah, go on.
But what I think is going to be the problem, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that when the world finally decides to open back up, everybody and their brother is going to want to be on the road making up for lost time. And I have to wonder for you, how do you prioritize what you pick? I mean, if TSO and Sons of Apollo, what do you choose? Or Sons of Apollo and JSS? Or
it's a good question, and it's a good question, but kind of an easy one for me.
Okay.
TSO, of course, because everybody knows that's a loyalty gig, and they're not even going to mess around with trying to book me or trying to even think that I would not do TSO to do something else.
Sure.
They work around that. So the second one in command, the second loyalty, the priority in command is Sons of Apollo, especially because we pulled what would have been a breakthrough and kind of a much needed tour this year for this album. We've already started we started rebooking things right away, and they've just been moved along the way. We haven't released all the dates as they've been moved. That's kind of monotonous. But now we finally got a solid rebooking throughout Europe, throughout South America for next year that we're hoping, if everything goes as planned, that we're going to be able to commit to. From that, I've booked pretty much the entire year from, say, April on through September. I have a few things of my own I need to make up, and that I absolutely will do with JSS. Soto's taking a bit of a break, because there's no need to put myself, I mean, I'm not going to kill myself on the road to try and make up for all these losses, as you said, but I'm going to stick with the priority ones and see what we can make up in terms of momentum and, of course, loyalty. And that's TSO and Sons of Apollo.
Sure. One last thing, Jeff, before we let you go, and it has nothing to do with you musically. I'm just curious of your opinion. I watched this documentary on Netflix, the Show Must Go On, the Adam Lambert and Queen story. I'm sure you have too, as a Queen guy. A, did you like it? And B, did you wish that it was the JSS and Queen story?
Get that question a lot. Absolutely. It would be beyond the dream to sing those songs with those guys. As I've done, we've done corporate gigs together. I've jammed with Brian, I've jammed with Roger, I've jammed with both together in different walks of life, on stages, whatever. But sure, who wouldn't want to fill those shoes? I know there aren't that many that can, and I personally feel I could, only because that influence is so embedded in my DNA. I would love to sing those songs. But you know what? I loved Adam Lambert from the day I saw him on American Idol. I knew that kid was beyond talented. And the way he sings those Queen songs, he makes it look so easy. He makes it, it's effortless.
Right.
Of course, there's the debate of, okay, he doesn't sound like Freddie. He doesn't move like Freddie. Forget all that. They're in love with what he brings to the band. And from that, I love what I see that he's brought to the band. I love his voice. I love that they're happy, and you can see that they're truly into what they're doing with Adam. So I wish them nothing but the best. And every time they come through LA, or if I'm in London or somewhere where I'm passing them, I go see them.
All right. Queen gig in November or TSO in November? Which one are you singing for?
If it's a Queen gig, it goes to TSO. If it's a Queen tour that's going to consume and take over the rest of my life, it goes without.
Very good, man.
Awesome.
Jeff, man, we always appreciate having you on, bro. And tell people where they should go to look to keep up with you and get the info on Wide Awake and My Dreamland and all that other stuff.
Well, the socials they're more caught up than the regular websites. The website stuff is a bit behind because I don't run it. And unless I'm kind of pushing the people that do, everybody's busy, especially during this time, trying to just stay afloat. So I keep my socials nice and current. So that's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's just Facebook at facebook.com/Jeff Scott Soto, twitter.com/Jeff Scott Soto, and the same Instagram.com/Jeff Scott Soto. Pretty simple, pretty easy to find.
Very good, man.
And then there's also jeffscottsoto.com, but that's when we update things.
Right. There we go. Awesome. Well, dude, thanks as always for coming
Jeff.
on. And I'm sure we'll talk next quarter when you have something else.
Well, I'm sure we're going to do the proper Wide Awake in My Dreamland run where you can grill me on what certain songs mean.
Awesome. There we go, bro. All right, man.
Take care, Jeff.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right, bro.
Take care. Thanks for listening to Aftershocks. For more episodes, go to our website at www.aftershockspodcast.com. Visit us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more news and information on the podcast. And be sure to subscribe, listen to, and review all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other podcast platforms. For your music listening pleasure, visit our website or go to www.shockwavesradio.com. For all comments and questions, please email us at info@aftershockspodcast.com.